Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. We're your hosts. I'm Sybil Amuti.
And I'm Branda Staniel.
And drum roll for our special guest today.
Woo! Hey, y'all.
What's your name?
I am Kristen Lauren Pope.
Mrs. Kristen Lauren Pope.
Hey, ladies.
Hey,
So
hey.
excited. So excited.
I'm
It's
so
gonna
happy
be
to
a
be here.
party,
Can I
y'all.
just say something real quick, just real honest?
Uh-oh.
I love your reporter voice.
Do you love it?
Yeah, it really came on strong.
Did it
It was
come
like,
strong?
welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast. I was like, where am I? Am I at work? No, I'm messing with you. I really do. That was good.
I love it. I've been practicing. I've heard we're real Southern on our intro.
We are.
I heard
Somebody
we were
said
like-
something about, did
Yes.
I say welcome?
You
I
said
said welcome. Welcome. Ladies, welcome.
Y'all come on in. Welcome to the podcast.
Brandis, you always have a little bit of syrup, honey. Just always. I listen to Brandis and I'm like, I listen, wait for the syrup. There's some syrup in there.
It's gonna come.
That's that twang.
So, ladies, what's going on in your world?
I'm gonna start with you. Well, first of all, I'm a squirrel in your world today. I'm just hanging out with y'all two today. That's what I'm doing. Everything in my world today has been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal. You know why?
Why?
Because I've been with you guys.
Aww.
Wasn't that deep and special?
That was real. I was waiting for
So
something big. I was
sweet.
like, oh, that was sweet.
I am
But I'm so mad at her for wanting to give herself a pat on the back. Talking about how sweet it is.
Listen, you gotta celebrate yourself. You can't wait on your girlfriends to do that.
You giving me so much younger child.
I am the
Younger
youngest.
child. You giving me so much. I'm realizing that the dynamic for real
I'm always
hardcore.
thirsty for an accolade.
Okay, you got to give me a little bit more, Sybil. What else is phenomenal about today?
You know what? Honestly, straight up, on some days when I wake up, I'm satisfied. And I go from there.
That's
Like,
good.
today was one of those days where the traffic was kind of heavy. I was late everywhere that I needed to be on time. I woke up late. The kids were running late. Kwaku wasn't feeling well, but we all woke up. So
Yeah.
it's like, I keep it simple some days.
That is.
You
That's
know
good.
what? No fireworks.
That's good. No, that's
No
fireworks.
You know, just
That's
like
fireworks.
we woke up, we're healthy. Today is like gratitude.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of things could have gone wrong, but so many went right day.
That's so good.
Yeah,
That's
so-
good. Content. I like that.
Yeah, what's up with you?
Peace. Whew.
Did you see my message to you?
No, what
last
message?
night?
No.
I said, how many more relocations and returns do we have to live through?
And you know what? I was like, you know what? Now that you said it, I'm like, how do I really feel about that?
So Kristen takes us around the world with her.
Sybil, how do you think I feel?
Oh. I think you feel good. I think you understand because you know, like when I had to go move.
You giving
to
me
my
too much
thing-
credit. You giving me too much credit. Way too much credit.
No, guys, Kristen, for those of you who have not looked her up, Kristen, because you are look-upable. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say Googleable. I'm going to say you are look-upable. That's what I'm going to
She's
say.
real complimentary in here today, but I'm just going to sit back. I'm just going to own it. I'm
so
going to own
happy
it.
to see you. This is one of my greats, like one of my sweets, like one of my riders, one of my girls that I like adore in so many ways. It's Bananas.
For real,
And
for
I'm so sorry,
real.
it's got you. And she has been in my corner and seen all my kids be born, and like she's been there even when she's far away. She's moved on us like 3 times, I think. This will be the 3rd move now for all your great girlfriends here. But Kristen is an amazing journalist. She's an amazing friend, amazing wife. And she's just a gem. And we have her on this show for so many reasons. You girls will learn in a minute why she's here. But Kristen, I want you.
You're so sweet.
I
You're
know,
so sweet.
you
She's
really
so
are.
sweet,
She
y'all.
really is, guys. She has
Where's
been
my
one of those
tissue?
women that has decided that she's going to believe in everything that she said she's going to do. She's mapping it out, and she's going to go after it. And so Kristen is an aggressive dreamer, and she is a firm believer, and she's just one of those people that soars in faith. And I respect her in every way because I've not once seen her waver, though I know she's had opportunities to quit on herself and to quit on her husband and to quit on life and things like that. She's just never wavered because her belief has been so rooted. So she's here for that very reason, because not only is she a woman of faith and love and joy and all those beautiful things, she's also a dynamic entrepreneur. She's also a brilliant networker, and she does it all looking just snatched. I mean, just snatched, y'all. So we got her here because
Sybil.
yeah, no, all of that's true.
I'm overwhelmed.
And you can
like,
don't
for real,
take
for
any
real.
word of it
I'm
back.
overwhelmed.
Just like absorb all of that.
That's
like,
the problem I'm having. I'm not sponging as
you
I
need
should.
to sponge. You need to sponge because you've earned that.
Thank you.
You've earned it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I feel very honored to have you as a great girlfriend, and I mean, you know that. I just adore her. But
And I adore Sybil.
oh, thanks.
I really
boo.
do.
And truth be told, Kristen is the reason and the person that introduced me to Brandis. So we've told that story before about how we were at the King's Daughters event. Kristen has a nonprofit called the King's Daughters, and she was hosting an event, and Brandis was there speaking on her first book, and I was there as a guest at your event, and that whole Memphis moment happened, and Brandis and I connected from there. So you have been the glue for the catalyst for myself meeting Brandis. You were kind of the that middle great girlfriend that connected us both.
That's an honor.
No,
That's
was you.
really an
You did
honor.
all that.
It's funny. I'm reading Mark Batterson's book, Draw the Circle,
I love that
40-day prayer book,
Mm-hmm.
and we're on a chapter, I think around 13 or 14, that talks about, when you're obedient and you ask for something and that prayer is answered, it has the ability to bless for eternity.
Nice.
That certain prayers just keep blessing.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And
love
certain
that.
obedience just continues to have a generational blessing.
Wow.
So that makes me think of that. That
Yeah.
was years ago. You know what
Wow.
I mean? And here we are at the Great Girlfriend.
That was years
Wow.
ago, guys. That was
It
like
was.
7 years ago. I counted by Sam because Sam was a baby.
Yeah.
And I was coming out the house for my second time out the house and to your event. But that is so true. Here we are 7 years later,
That's
and
a
a lot of
blessing.
accolades, y'all. High
That's a
five.
ble- that's a
we've
blessing.
been busy over these last 7
I know.
Some great things have taken place.
Great things.
Yes.
Great things.
So,
great
Kristen,
things.
I want you, ladies, so this episode is about the bridge between faith and entrepreneurship. We today just wanted to talk to you about a formula. And Kristen is going to share her blueprint with us and just kind of give us how she's used faith to help, to help catapult everything she's needed in entrepreneurship. And then also she's going to give us like some lessons that we can all take away today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. So, Chris, I'm gonna give you some questions to
Okay.
make it easy for you. I want to know. Kristen works in media, so when did you decide? I remember you were working another job.
Yes.
So, what was that job, and when did you decide you wanted to work in media?
I was working a job, and I'll give some context, but I'll just say I was working a job as a research associate for a hospital. And I was working that job. It was supposed to start as an internship really for me to learn how to write grants. And it turned into something else. Something that I'm not going to say it shouldn't have, but it just went on much longer than I ever anticipated. And I have a degree in media, in broadcast journalism. And I moved to New York and just really had a hard time finding a job in media. This is the #1 media market for everything media. And so I moved up here, and in some ways what you don't know is a good thing. What you don't know can hurt you, but sometimes it's good because
Yes.
you just go.
Yes.
It doesn't hold you back, the things that you don't know. And so I didn't really know how hard it was going to be to find a job. And so I was freelancing on the side from time to time. I would do red carpets and things like that. And so in between all of this, I got married. And my husband had a kind of like a come to Jesus conversation with me about, really going after what it was I really wanted. And I really wanted to find, it was unfulfilled. It was like that thing was unfulfilled, and I was trying, and I hadn't just gotten over the hump. I had not found my way yet. And so he just kind of charged and challenged me to get on this path, stay on it until I got what I wanted. And so I did. He was my first cameraman.
Wow.
I
remember
in
that.
so many
My
ways
mom
was
jokes about that
Richard
to
your
this
first
day.
Cameraman.
She's like, girl, it wouldn't be no Pope Productions without Richard Pope.
Real. Richard is your first
He was
cameraman.
my first cameraman before we got married.
Richard, let me tell you something. Kristen, when you first introduced me to the concept of Richard being a part of your world, remember you invited
Yes,
me over
yes.
for some shrimp pasta?
It was 2 weeks after I had met
Yes,
him. Yeah.
and you sat me down and was like, so I've met this guy, X, Y, and Z, ABC. And from that moment, you brought out a picture from the time you guys went to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard had come back to you with photos from your first time together.
Yeah.
And how much of a memory that it meant for him. And he looked forward to creating more and more and more and more and more. And since then, when I tell you guys, Richard must have 10 cameras worth of footage on Kristen. It is
Thousands. It's so uncomfortable.
To the point you will be in pictures. You'll be
So
in pictures,
uncomfortable.
and you know you were in that picture with Kristen. But when you get over to Richard's camera, nobody's in that picture but Kristen. Richard can crop you out in the moment. You could be on live footage with Kristen.
Girl, people done got offended. They done got offended and been like, I know I was there. Why am I in none of these pictures?
How did Richard crop
It
me
ain't
out?
nobody but Kristen in these pictures.
And Richard will be like, excuse me, can you just scoot? There you go, perfect picture. And you're not in it. But it's all good. That man loves you. He loves every image of you.
Absolutely.
Richard has done that for years.
I had a girlfriend who was like, she saw all his books of poetry. I have 18 books of poetry from Richard, 180 poems before we got married.
Wow.
For every
Wow.
month that we were together. And one of my girlfriends came up, she was like, girl, you can't never leave Richard. She said, girl, you can't never leave him. Richard gonna come looking for you.
Oh, God.
Okay?
Oh,
But
my
no,
God.
he's, you know what?
Your first cameraman.
My first cameraman, and so humble because Richard is he's a financier. He's not he's good with his camera, with his digital camera or whatever, but he is, there's a lot that goes into taking a good shot and getting a good shot and getting a good interview. And I knew all of that stuff from J School, but he was like, if this is what it takes to get it done, he was on board to get it done. And we were our very first time working together, we were put in this was all God, we were put in such a challenging, opposing situation to work together. We were covering Al Sharpton's National Action Network conference, the 20-year anniversary at FCBC, and I was supposed to be getting the interviews. And the day of, it almost was like we were punked, but somehow everything fell through. No cameraman, no access to their camera, no nothing. But we had made a commitment that we were going to do it. And so somehow, after hours, Richard tracked down somebody in the church, got them to open up their media door, got them to give him a camera, and came downstairs and shotgun with me was taping Ben Jealous and Roland Martin and Al Sharpton on the spot. That was our first time working together.
Wow.
And he just got with it. I have those interviews now, and they don't look great, but the point was we got it together, and we got it done.
Wow.
And so from there it was and we fought through so much. We were fighting through so much that day to get it done, but we were so committed to this is what we said we were going to do. We have an obligation to the church. And so we did it. And so from there, it was just a progression. It was a progression. We hired a cameraman. I took a TV 101 class to kind of brush up on my skills.
Where did you take your TV 101 class?
Media Bistro.
Wow.
Media Bistro. I love Media Bistro.
Wow.
For everybody should look into Media Bistro. It is like the greatest place in New York to take a quick certification class.
Wow.
My TV 101 class was like 4 to 6 weeks. And it was just wonderful. I got a mentor out of that class. She's still my mentor.
Wow.
She helped me put my new reel together.
Wow.
She has literally helped me navigate my career into the job I'm in right now.
So let me ask you, before we get to the job that you're in right now, when you were starting out and you and Richard were out there on the streets with a camera and you
On the streets, y'all.
on the camera and
Harlem.
you, like, what was the goal at the time?
The goal was to get footage. A media personality needs footage. You need stories. You need content. Just like an actor or an actress has a reel, or a radio personality has an air check tape, you need a tape. And I needed my reel was on VHS.
I love it. Nothing wrong with it.
We ain't gonna talk about that, but my reel was still on VHS.
I love it.
And let me tell you, we tried. Richard
my
bought.
gosh.
He's so good. He found online a converter from a machine that you use to convert VHS to DVD.
I can't.
And so
I
we
love it.
started there, and I was like, this
Wow.
stuff is so old. We can't do nothing with this. This is from 2004. Forget it. We just scrapped that whole idea. We still got that machine ain't never done nothing with it. And so we couldn't use it. And so I needed new footage. And the only way to get it, the reason why it's easy for reporters to move and bounce is because you're doing a story every day. You're getting footage constantly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I was challenged because I wasn't working at a media organization, so I had to create it.
Wow.
I had to constantly create it.
Were you still working your job at the time?
Yes.
So you were working your job and
Yes.
doing this by night.
Maintaining
Oh,
the
yes.
day and
Oh,
building
yeah.
at night.
I
Oh,
love
at
it.
night, on the
Yes.
weekends. The weekends were for shooting. The
Okay.
weekends were for covering red carpet.
So how did you even get into certain events? Like, how did you get them to let you in and cover red carpets and stuff?
The first couple of times, being able to show them that I had interviewed people like Al Sharpton and Ben Jealous and Roland Martin, that gave me a door in. That gave me a door in. Another major, major door, and I honestly don't know how this one came about, and I don't know why she thought I was qualified at the time. D. Marshall had to decline covering an event. Thurgood Marshall's scholarship event. This was back in 2011, I think. And she had to decline it, and so she called me and said, "Hey, can you do this? Can you cover this?" I didn't really understand the magnitude of what it was, but I was just like, "Yeah, I'll step up and do it." And I needed the work and needed the footage. It was a paying gig, and so that one really, really catapulted my work, because that night I interviewed Blair Underwood and Lynn Whitfield and Marsha Ambrosius and all these wonderful CEOs. And so afterwards, they gave me, my real package. They gave me my work package, and it was a beautiful like 2.5-minute composition, and it got to show my personality and all this, but it was huge.
Well,
Wow.
let's back up just a bit, because from that very first gig that you got at the church, which is was it
FCBC,
First Corinthians Baptist Church, were you a member there?
Yes.
How did they know that you were available to even do that?
Richard and I were in follow-up marriage counseling.
Okay.
This was shortly after we got married, like just a couple of months. And so we had to you're required to do some follow-up counseling. And so we were showing Pastor Mike our honeymoon book, because Richard had made a book of our honeymoon. And so he said that he wanted to. He said that National Action Network was going to be holding this big forum at the church, and he wanted his own coverage. Like CNN would be there, and these different outlets would be there, but he wanted his own coverage. And I just flippantly was like, "Oh, all you need is a camera. You just need a camera, and a microphone."
I love it.
And I just boiled it down, because the truth of the matter was, even though I wasn't working in the field, I knew the business.
Yeah.
I know, what you're supposed to do, theoretically. And so I was just like, "Yeah, all you need is a camera." And he was like, "Okay, so you gonna do it?"
I love it.
And you said
Yes.
And at the time, I didn't say no to anything.
yeah, right.
I didn't say no to anything. I mean, I do say no to some things today, but at the time I didn't say no to anything. Even I wasn't prepared. He wanted me to do it the next week. He wanted me to do it the next week, and I'm at home. I'm like, "Okay, I think we got it together. I think, And Richard was just like, "Yeah, we, whatever it takes, we're gonna do it." But we didn't really know. Like, we had no idea when we showed up to the church. They weren't gonna have like equipment ready for us to go, and we were gonna have to
have your own stuff.
And it was so much a test of my faith.
Uh-huh.
Will you press through? We pressed through all day long.
Wow.
All day long. It was, every time we got over one challenge, it was like, okay, there's another challenge. Like, there's something else you got to figure out. We were literally running from corner to corner in Harlem, trying to catch these interviews, trying to catch people coming out of the building, because who the heck were we? They would
Yeah.
stop for CNN.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But who the
Right.
heck am I? So it was
Yeah.
like, he's like, I'm flagging some person down, while Richard is like, and your photographer usually knows roll on everything. That means film everything. So he didn't always know, like, your button needs to be on record at all times, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know how someone's going to turn. You never know what they're going to say. And so we were learning together as we went. And it just was really, it was a great reintroduction into the business, because it's like, everything won't be this challenging, but if you can get through this,
Wow.
You're gonna
And
be
what would
fine.
have happened if you would have just said, I'm so sorry, Pastor Mike, but we don't have equipment.
We
We don't have this. We don't have
And
that.
I'm not
We don't
very
have this.
experienced.
So we can't do it. I mean,
That thought crossed my mind. It crossed my mind because I said, the agreement was that they were going to provide the equipment. And so it crossed my mind, maybe this is just it's not going to work out.
and it happens.
And
that happens.
Yeah.
It just because you keep going doesn't mean it doesn't cross your mind and quit.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. People ask, they're like, you ever think about quitting? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you do? Yeah.
Last night.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? I think you just get a resolve that you're not going to, but no, absolutely. And I could not have that conversation with him. I knew in my mind too. I was like, I can't say that we didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever that means, we got to, like Richard had downloaded a manual for how to use the camera once he got it.
Wow.
Because he had no idea how to use it. So he got the model, the ID number, and he downloaded that so he could figure out how to use this camera, and was willing to go down to B&H on 34th Street and rent equipment if we just absolutely had no other option.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. So how in the world did you so you took all your footage. How did you land your first media job?
So I told you guys that I met my mentor in that TV 101 class. So after the class was over, she said, if certain people need help putting together their reel, because when you left the class, part of the package deal was you're going to get some footage. Everyone got to do stand-ups. Stand-ups are important for reporters. You need to, news directors need to see that. They need to see you. They need to see, that you can think on the top of your head on your reel. But you also need stories, and I didn't have that. And so she said, if you want help, I will help you. And so I took her up on it, got help, got my reel done, and I started sending it out. And I got nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
For how long?
This is now for 4 months.
Okay.
So for 4
4
months.
months you're sending a reel out.
4 months sending the reel out, nothing. January of 2012 rolls around, and I get a call from Deborah. That was my teacher. At the time, not yet my mentor, but that was my teacher. And she said, hey, you got a job yet? And I said, no. And she was like, why not? And I said, I don't know. I've been sending my reel out, and no one's, written me back. I don't have anything. And she was like, like that is unacceptable. So she told me, this is in January, she said, I am going to, matter of fact, not her, she said, you are to reach out to me with your progress every 2 weeks. She was like, I want to know who you're reaching out to. I want a list of your top 25 stations that you want to work for. And I want to know that you are reaching out to the news directors. And you're not emailing them, you're calling them, which is tough. News directors are like the Wizard of Oz. So if you can actually get a hold of one,
Right.
you're Dorothy.
good.
You're doing real good.
Okay.
If you can get one on the phone, they are like the Wizard of Oz. They don't publish news directors' information. They don't publish their numbers. And most television job sites say, no calls. And she said, forget all of that. You are to call. She said, if you email somebody, I need you calling and following up. So she gave me a hardcore, and part of me was like, why is she what? And she said, I believe in you.
Wow.
She said, I believe in you. And there was a class of about 10 of them, and she said, but I'm going to work with you until you get a job.
Wow.
She's like, you got 6
I
months.
love it.
So every
So
2
this
weeks.
is 4 months in.
This is 4 months
You
in.
got 2 more months.
No, now the clock has been set again.
Oh, okay.
She started
okay.
the clock
6 more
back from
months
6
there.
more
Okay.
months that I've got to get on it. And so I learned so much about just myself and resilience and tenacity, because here I am. I'm now reaching out to news directors in places like, where is that place? It's in Massachusetts. The name escapes me right now, but it's a place in Massachusetts. And I just reached out to the news director and said, hey, I'm going to be in your area on this day and that day. Can you, spare 30 minutes to talk to me? I wasn't going to be in his area. I just made up my mind I was driving up there. I was going to take off work. I was going to take off work, and I was going to drive up there, and he gave me a time. So I did.
Nice.
I took off work because I'm still working now.
Right.
And I had made up in my mind, I knew that I wasn't supposed to leave my job until I found another job. So I stayed there. As miserable as I was, I stayed. I continued my red carpets, and I continued looking for a job in television. So I'm doing this. I'm looking. And then one day, Deborah says, this is now in June, so we're now like 5 months in, and she said, a news director, she said a producer that I used to work with is now an assistant news director, which means now he's a manager. He's got decision-making power. He's an assistant news director at a station in Texas. Well, at this point, Richard had already said, you need to look outside of New York, period. We've already been down that road. You're going to have to expand your reach and look outside.
Wow.
So now I'm looking in Texas.
Wow.
We live in Connecticut, and I'm looking in Texas. And so I reached out to this assistant news director, and he had worked with Deborah, so he just loved her.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah leaves a good trail.
Nice.
She leaves a good trail. So he loved her, and he said, at the time, I don't have anything. He said, but I'll keep you in mind. So a couple months later, he reached back out to me and said, we have something open, and you were the first person I thought of, which also taught me that you should apply anywhere you want to, because they want to meet with people that have already been on the radar.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not, jobs are not for the people who are applying now. They're for the people who've been applying.
Wow, that's a great one. Tweetable moment.
Yeah.
Yes,
They
yes.
are. Because he said, you're the first person I thought of, but he had my reel for 2 months. It was just a timing deal. And so that 2 months later, he said, he's like, we want to kind of set up an interview with you. So he set up an interview, and then somehow the process stalled for like 3 weeks. It stalled. Like, I just didn't hear anything back. And I got this, I don't know what happened, but some switch went off on me, and I said, I'm about to get a job. I know I'm about to get a job in TV. Like, I just felt like I had to shift my own energy, because I had just, it's now, we're now at 11 months, going back, including that September,
Okay.
the previous September. We're now at 11 months. I hate the job that I'm at now. And I'm so focused, and I've been working so hard, and so I was just in myself. I was resolved. I was like, I'm about to get a job. So I just took trips all around the country to visit my friends and family, because I had said within myself, you're not going to be able to do this because you're going to get a job, and you're not going to be able to visit your friends and family. So I was in Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, Miami, all over the place, so that I could get that out of my system. When I got back from my last trip, I got an email. We want to finish the interview process. Finished the
Wow.
interview process that week. The following day, I got a call for my first job.
Wow.
Love
Tenacity.
It. Love it. You still catching air on that one. I love that. I love it.
I love that. And so where are you now?
Now I'm at News 12. News 12, which is in my station. My bureau is based out of Yonkers. There's about almost 10 bureaus for News 12 between Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York. And so I'm in New York. My overall dream came true to become a New York news reporter.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
Does it feel like what you thought it would feel like when you dreamed of it coming to pass?
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Wow.
It does. It feels like it was all worth it. I know that it's not everything. I have more dreams. I have much more to do. But I definitely feel like if you could do that, then you can
Do anything.
do anything.
Yeah.
You can
That's a
manifest
great
what you want to
milestone.
do.
Because
Yeah.
I think the thing that inspires me most about you, Kristen, is that I remember that process of you starting to do your red carpet interviews. And I thought to myself, this chick is not waiting to get a reporter's job or not sitting back talking about this is what I want to do. She is literally willing this to happen. Like, and we talked about faith, and we talked about how faith is not belief, faith is action. Literally, you put your faith into action by having Richard be your cameraman and starting to go out there and just record interviews.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about it, it's kind of crazy.
It sounds crazy.
It's like,
now it sounds real
Who's
crazy.
supposed to be watching these interviews?
That's
Like,
right.
what are they supposed to mean
And
to the
people
world?
talked about me. And
Yeah.
people have now then come back and said, oh, girl, you were a news reporter for real? Because, girl, back in the day, I thought you was crazy. So
See?
now you for real now,
Right.
but back in the day, I thought that was crazy.
I love that. And not only are you a news reporter, you also started your own business.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is
Pope Productions. Pope Productions and Positive
Controversy,
is
which
the
is your own show.
Yes.
So you have your own production company, which is now capable of producing for yourself and other people.
Yes.
And let me just say this, because it's not like Pookie and them on camera. That's not what this is. It's a real...
It almost was when Brandis was on there, though. Brandis was our very first guest, and it was almost Pookie now.
It was almost, but it wasn't quite Pookie and them. But it's a real team of people who are genuinely committed. They're skilled in their craft.
Yes.
And those people came together. What I love is that they didn't like, you weren't like this mega name, and they weren't attracted to your name. They were attracted to your vision.
Yeah.
They were
And
attracted
probably
to
to
what
your-
you put out there.
And probably to your drive too, because one thing I've learned is when people see you giving 200%, they're willing to come give,
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But they saw you had gone all in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's already put the action in to say, hey, this is where I'm going. And now to be able to have a team that's ready for you, you have now moved into season 2 of the Positive Controversy, which is now being made available.
Yes, it's being made available on Focus Broadcasting Network. And this is so exciting for me because I had the idea, God gave me the idea to create a web show episode, what I thought was a web show episode or a pilot, whatever, before I got back from Texas to New York. And I just went on ahead and did it, and wonderful partner with wonderful people. Squeaky Moore, shout out to Squeaky Moore, who's amazing. We started like a team of 4 maybe. Now we're like a team of 10. But
Awesome.
the big thing about it is that it really did just start as like one episode that turned into a capsule of 6 that then got a licensing agreement for episodes from that I literally just threw on YouTube, that then became a film festival selection in the web series category, that then got a distribution deal with this Netflix competitor.
Love it.
Wow.
I love it.
That's incredible.
And it's amazing because I'm telling you, I had some rough days this summer. This summer I had some rough days, like those quitting days. I had some of those because it just when we first started, it was kind of like, it was fun, but every layer we add to it then requires another level of business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Requires
Don't
another
we
level
know?
of business.
Yes.
Every time you add a layer, and I was explaining it to actually a mutual friend of ours, and they were like, and I just was thinking like, I'm just so heavy laden with all this, and he was like, oh, you mean it's successful? And I was like, how did you get that out of what I just told you? How did you get any of that? Because I'm thinking like, my whole world is just, but really, that's what every time, you go to the next level, I need another layer of business. I need to button up a little bit more. And so, with this distribution deal, that's what's happened. And it's felt like my process has slowed down, but really it's like you're going to the next level. And so you just need to step up, and you need to just keep riding this wave, and you need to keep going with it. And so much so, I have a great friend of mine who is the production manager on the Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore. And so she invited me, and I brought the crew with us, the productions crew, to go and to a taping, and it was so clear. It was like the Lord was just booming in my ear, like, if you quit, you will never see any of this, Kristen. Just know that. And it just completely just lifted everything off of my back.
Wow.
Because
wow.
here we are in his studio. You were there, in the audience, in a wonderful studio. I really think that's, where Positive Controversy is going, into like sketch variety show. And so, and so we were there getting to see it. And me and Squeaky were taking notes about like, okay, there's cameras over here. They got the lights up here. The monitors are in front. Like, we were taking notes of everything. And it was just like, Kristen, you're sitting in your future, but you won't see that if you stop.
Yeah.
I love that.
I have a quick question for you along this process because, I feel very honored. I've been in on a lot of these moments.
You have, which I'm grateful for.
Where it's been like, girl, pray. Girl, tomorrow might be the day.
Ah,
Remember we had
yes,
some milkshakes
yes.
that time? Yes. We had milkshakes that day, and then you gave me that call like, I got that job. I was like, yes.
Literally.
Yes.
And you were, when I got the job at News 12, Sybil, I think you were the first person. The first person who knew for real was Mamie. Because I got the call in Mamie's office. And I was like, I think this is it. And so I put it on speaker, and we were in the office like,
Mamie McDonald, who skinbymamie.com, who is our
our esthetician,
and,
yes.
and auntie.
Yes, and
Everybody's New York
auntie of the city. She really is.
Who we love dearly.
And I think
But-
I called you right after because I was with you
Yes.
when I got the first job in
Yes.
Texas. And so, yes, I was like, it's only right. I got to call someone right now and tell her what just happened.
I want to know how you knew who to share your dream with along the way, because there's a process of protecting it, nurturing it, fertilizing it with the right people and the right, energy. How did you know who to share it with?
I think I've learned, I can't say I've always done this, but
Right.
I have learned to share it with like minds. And I think that's a good and an indifferent thing, kind of, because sometimes I do agree with that quote that says sometimes if we all got the same thought, then somebody ain't thinking.
Right.
Not that you're just supposed to surround yourself around complete and total like minds, because you need for someone to raise some issues or questions. You need that. But I do think I share it now with people who I think are invested in me.
Right.
You know, who are genuinely invested in me.
Hope y'all are taking notes.
And
Go ahead.
And invested in their self or whatever they're doing, because I believe if you're invested in me, and I'm invested in a lot of people. I know what that means to be invested in someone, with my time, with my money, with my heart, with my spirit, with my talents. And so if someone is invested in me, then I believe I can share.
Let's go through, Kristen, some maybe 5 tips that she would give our great girlfriends that are at a place where they're on a job they hate and they have a dream that they want to fulfill. Like, what are maybe 5 steps that you took to make that happen?
Step 1.
Step 1 is that you have to have an exit strategy. You have to have an exit strategy. If you're on a job that you hate, then you have to have something that you're working towards. I think, in any business plan, you have an exit strategy. Even if it's a good business, you still have an exit strategy or a succession plan. Everything has one. So you have to have something that you are working towards. So I would say, have something that you're working on. Yeah, that's first.
Number 2?
Number 2, I would say you got to have more than passion. Your passion is good, but you got to have more than passion. Passion will, like the song says, when the river runs dry, it will dry up eventually. Passion is, like my father said, it's like a sugar high. And when you come down from it, you got to have something that's sustaining you, that you got to, you're going to keep going. So there's got to be a level of commitment and consistency that's going to push you past your passion. Passion is great, but there's just some things you do just because you got to do them. And for me, I had to learn, this is way back when I first moved to New York, but I had to learn the ability to finish. And the ability to finish, is beyond my passion. When my passion is no longer like on fire that morning I woke up, that doesn't mean that I don't still have a responsibility to what I said that I would do. So I think, what is that? Number 2, got to have something deeper than your passion.
And I love that. Passion is like a sugar high.
It's like a sugar high. And I believe that. When you come down from that passion, you got to still be willing to, get out there and still make it happen.
Number 3?
Number 3 is really, number 3 is to have, I think it's to have people around you who are smarter than you. I surround myself with people who are smarter than me. I really do. I'm favored to have some amazing people who are smarter than me, who God has given me tremendous favor with, and that they continue to to push me in the right direction. Like my mentor, Deborah, is no holds bar with me. I sent her my reel recently to go to the NABJ, and she chewed and spit it out.
Wow.
In a heavenly, blasphemous way. Okay? Deborah, I love you. She had all kind of explicatives in there, and she was like, but at the end, but I love you.
Wow.
But she chewed it up and spit it out. And, my goal right now, one of the things I'm working on personally, is to rid myself of areas that I'm mediocre in, mediocrity. And so that's what it is. She's like, if you want this, if this is the bar you're trying to hit, what you just sent me is not going to cut it. So I need for you to go back to the drawing board and get me some more stuff.
Wow.
Fix this.
Wow.
And so people who are skilled, people who are smarter than you.
Yeah.
My husband, to me, he's strategic in a completely different way. And so he brings something to my table. I bring a lot of hype, and I'm excited, and a lot of drive, and I'll stay up all night. And Richard ain't gonna stay up all night, but he'll give me 3 things to do. And sometimes that'll wipe out my staying up, do these 3 things and come back to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, to keep smarter people around you, I think is so important. Smarter, strategic, skilled people, very skilled people. And so, number 4, I would say to have your end goal in mind too. To have your end goal in mind. I want to be could I be a reporter for the rest of my life? I really could, just because I like telling stories. I don't think that's where I'm going to end up. But I do know that it propels it kind of is a platform for a lot of other things.
Absolutely.
And
I
believe.
Where would you get that idea from? I mean, Oprah only. Just, I mean, there's only been a few that have taken that. No, but it's true.
And I look at other people. I try to live by. I live by the tree. My philosophy is to live life by the tree.
Yeah.
And so my tree trunk for me is journalism. But my branches are, philanthropy and
There you go.
the positive controversy and all these other
Yeah.
things. And I think when you look at Beyonce, she's got all these other businesses, but you know her as an entertainer and a
Right.
singer. You know Oprah as the best interviewer, our time has maybe ever seen, but she's got all these other things. And so for me, it was and I guess maybe saying this a little bit differently, not just that you have your end goal. Let me revise that to say, become a master in something. I was the queen, jack of all trades, pun intended. But I just had, I was an okay dancer, and I was an okay, interviewer, and I was an okay writer, and it was in time for me to get good at something, just something to stand out in, and just hone that thing and get a root. Like I wanted to be like a sequoia tree. I love trees. I wanted to have a really strong tree trunk. And so for me, that's what journalism and media is, and I know that it's a platform for all of these other things that I want to do. Mm-hmm. But it starts with having a really strong, firm foundation. And so that's my firm, strong foundation.
I love it.
And I think the last thing is have faith. It really is. I believe my mission in life is to inspire other people to take leaps of faith in their own life. I think that if I continue to demonstrate that and if I continue to share that, then other people will feel free to do the same thing. They will let go of fear and they will just go ahead and jump. And I've jumped a lot, and I want to continue to keep jumping through my life. But it really is that faith is action. It's an action word.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, Kristen. Oh, Sybil, this has been incredible.
I know. I love it because
we got so much from
can
this.
say without doubt, like having known you, that all of your formula is working. Like you're working your formula, it's working for you, and like you're participating fully in it. I've seen you shift. I've seen you like center in on that thing you want to like perfect even more, like become the queen of, the master of it. And I've seen you make sure that you're like skillful at every level. And then that responsible part where it's like the accounting. No offense to accountants, but a lot of us don't want to sit and do that stuff, and the taxes and and organizing project management, things like that. I've seen you capture all of that stuff so that everything can happen in the way that it needs to. That's responsible.
Thank you.
That's really responsible.
Thank you. But I appreciate it. It makes me it warms my heart to hear that y'all have, like, you can say I've seen a shift. In the years and the time I've seen it, because it has been a shift. And I mean, a lot largely to, thank my husband. Y'all be giving shout out to the husband. That Richard Poe.
We're getting there.
Shout out the babies.
But really, I mean, that is key. I see, and I realized it more and more when I saw my friends doing like 20 different things and having like that much of a branch, just no fruit at all. And it was because it's like you're trying to do so many things, but you just gotta, one thing will propel all these other things. It will be a foundation for anything.
Tyler Perry talks about that too all the time.
Does he?
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
He does. He talks about just starting with one thing.
Yeah.
Like making that one thing successful.
And it's hard. I think that's the discipline part, is that you feel like somebody's taking away something from you, but it's almost like the proverb that says, if you die to yourself, you will live.
Yeah.
Like, it's like if you can just put that aside and focus on this one thing, I guarantee you, like, that thing is going to be so natural. Somebody's going to be looking for you to do the thing that you wanted to do.
Absolutely.
That extra thing you wanted to do. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I love it.
Kristen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, great girlfriends.
Oh my gosh, we appreciate you. Girlfriends, I hope you guys are taking tips and like writing some stuff down, because I got over here and as I'm sitting listening to you, I was refining some things that I'm doing, and I was like, mental note here. It's always good to have that kind of stimulation around you and be teachable.
It is.
Absolutely.
You know what?
It is.
And always be open to the idea that someone else has something that they can give to you right when you need it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I do. And have
So,
people around
Kristen,
you that you can learn from.
Kristen, how can our great girlfriends connect with you?
Through my website, first and foremost, Kristen L. Pope. That's KristenLPope.com. And it's KristenLPope TV on everything else, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Pinterest, on Google+. It is KristenLPopeTV.com TV. And it was so funny because I think before I got the job in TV, Brandis was like, girl, you had that handle down before you even got on television. She was like, it was such an easy transition. I did. On all of my social media said TV before I was a reporter.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's that bridge between faith and entrepreneurship. Love it. There it is.
Love
Speaking
it.
Well, we want to thank our husbands.
Yes, thank you.
Kwaku.
Thank you, Rich.
Richard.
Got 2 riches on. That's right. And to our families, our babies, our Kwaku. Oh, Lord Jesus, we got to do that part over. Thanks to our husbands. Kwaku, I love you.
Rich, thanks, babe.
Richard. Love you, boo.
Thank you to our kids, Sam and Dylan and baby Love over here, just making it out till these final weeks are finished. And to our families.
Yes, and to all of our great girlfriends, thank you so much for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter.
You can listen on our website, on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Blueberry. Remember to check us out on Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends,
Facebook,
The Great Girlfriends,
Twitter,
_Great GFS. Post your questions, share with your friends. Keep listening and
keep
being
being
a great girlfriend.
I'm Sybil.
And I'm Brandis.
And I'm Kristen.
And we're signing off.
Thank you, guys.